Hi, it's Tim once again from the Indie Bands blog, and once again I'm heading over to the USA. And it's so many times I go over to the USA, I'm going to become an American for the day, and I'm heading down to the Bay. That's El Cerrito in San Francisco Bay to meet a duo called Fin Absolute Du Monde, and this is Cindy and Jason that I'm meeting.
Hi.
Hi Cindy, hi Jason. Thanks for sparing me the time. I had a really interesting time when I first came across your music, and what I think I described it as originally was a sort of an ambient gaze. It seemed to have a more of a theatrical context to it.
Mm-hmm.
You started life back in 2009.
Mm-hmm.
Were you involved at any stage in the sort of the art side of what was going on?
As far as theater?
Well, it's theatre, cinema, or anything related. It's got that sort of feel that it could, that what I've heard anyway, feels as though it could to a soundtrack
To be
somewhere
honest, I think to be honest, we didn't have any sort of vision musically when we had started. In fact, I was nervous when we decided to do music together because as I'd mentioned, prior, I told Jason I was a classical musician. I knew he was. I knew he came from a hard rock metal background, and when we decided we wanted to work together, I didn't think I could do anything to complement his style. And one day he had recorded this real heavy guitar riff on GarageBand, and
right.
he gave me the computer. He's like, "All right, your turn. Do something with it." And I thought, what? I don't know. And I
Yeah, the music comes from a real cinematic place. We watch movies, and I think that inspires us more than anything. So that's why the music somewhat we try to make it. I don't know if we try to make it, but it flows more like a movie. So it doesn't have the traditional verse hook format.
Sure. I understand from looking at the history and talking the history through with you. So between 2009, 2011, 12, you were following one sort of direction, and then things changed quite a lot, and you became very much more of a stage performance band, also putting out recorded material. How did that come about? And is your stage material somewhat different to perhaps the earlier material that I've heard, things like your first LP, Début de la fin, La Jeunesse?
We wanted the show to be a show, being that we have toured, and a live show can be very exciting, can be very boring. And we definitely wanted our live show to ebb and flow, kind of like the music does. It can't just be high energy all the time, and it can't just be, a monotone, ambient thing the whole time. So it definitely ebbs and flows. I would say it's very intense. It's very passionate. Anything you want to say, Sid?
No, especially since it's the two of us, and most commonly you're used to watching 3, 4, 5 piece, high energy rock bands. We knew, man, we need to compensate for the lack of bodies and the energy that all five would encompass together. So
Right.
the two of us, we were we just had to.
And we don't get the responses that most bands get. A lot of people say it's like watching a play, which is interesting when people say that. You know, it's like watching a play. It's like watching theater. So we're done with the song, and people are still kind of waiting. They don't know. Do I clap? What do I do? You just.
And I think also what's funny about that is, you know, of course, when you see a band play, a lot of times it's in a bar or maybe some sort of social situation where there's talking around you. You know, you're drinking, hanging out with your friends, and even though we understand that, I think we're at we've gotten so many comments of, I just don't even want to look away because I don't want to miss anything. We so much of that now when we play and we notice anyone looking away, it's hard not to feel offended. Excuse me.
We're over here.
I know you're with your friends. You probably haven't seen them in a couple of years, but we're playing.
Yeah.
We're only up here for a few minutes, so
it's definitely there's a reason why we can play with a lot of punk bands, I think, and harder music bands, because it's definitely an intense show, and I grew up listening to that music, and that's the kind of music that you definitely can't ignore. So we want to have a live show that you can't ignore.
Yeah. Okay. Well, I look forward to that, because I understand that you're coming over to Europe sometime in beginning around about March over here for a couple of months.
Yes. April.
Have you got a full diary, or are you still available for some slots here and there?
We're still booking out April. From my understanding, a lot of March will be in the UK with another band that's on the label called Hot Stuff and the Eye Candy, and they're from Glasgow in Scotland. We'll be doing weekend dates with them, and then we'll be trying to fill our weekdays.
We would love to play every single day. So if you happen to know anyone who's interested in having some crazy Americans, American and Canadian. If they don't like Americans, just say Canadians.
She's from Canada.
So, North Americans, some interesting North Americans. We're fun. And we're nice.
And we don't drink.
We don't drink. We don't smoke.
You don't drink?
No. But we do all this crazy stuff sober.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It saves a lot of money not drinking.
Mm-hmm.
Yes, that's very true. Very true.
And we don't fight.
We don't fight.
Yeah.
You just go and play and have a good time, and make sure that everyone does that's in the audience. As I said, I look forward to that. Now, you mentioned earlier on, Cindy, that your early training was as a classical musician. Mm-hmm. You didn't go on to say that you also played or were in a band over in Europe at some stage.
Well, it was a little European tour that we did. We had the band that I was in. We were in Canada, and I guess promoters had booked us from Canada and all these superstar singers in Orange County, California, and they would hire us and fly us to wherever the show was. But one particular year, and I think it was 1998, Christmas and New Year. Yeah, we weren't in the UK, but we went to, if I remember correctly, we were in France and Germany, Switzerland. God, I don't remember. It was really all such a blur to me, because as I said, I was young. It was a lot of shows in so little days. I was a young Filipina girl traveling with older Vietnamese musicians
into countries that spoke completely different languages. Yeah, that sounds easy.
Actually, and people actually say to me, "Oh, that must have been such an amazing experience," and I say, yeah, you know what? I was asleep for the whole time. I literally was. I wasn't in a car. We were setting up for the show, and once we broke down, we we were back in the car. I didn't want to be up. I didn't like my company. You know,
Right.
I hate to say I didn't. No one talked to me.
Well, hopefully this time over in Europe will
That's
be a much better experience.
That's why I'm very excited. You know, I'll be going with my fiance, doing what I love with the person I love, exploring a new,
We're getting married
country.
When are you getting married?
there.
No, when?
Now we have to tell people this.
When we get there.
Oh, congratulations. Congratulations. Yeah, that was a nice and vague answer. But speaking of vague answers, yeah, that's ruined it for yourselves then.
You and your mom watches this.
Only
I'm surprised.
You didn't know that. Was that a proposal or we just managed to hear for the first time that neither of you knew about?
No, I talked to the label last week, and he lives in Bath. Right. I guess the label's based out of Bath, but he's from Scotland, and he sent me this show that comes on in the UK, and I can't think of the name of it, but it had something to do with when Scottish people were the PR people of Parliament. It's like a kind of almost like The Office. What is the name?
Oh, I think I vaguely know. I'm not a great one for watching TV and stuff, but anyway, so you saw this.
I saw this show, and it had all these Scottish people in it, and I was like, they remind me of black people. That's about as close to black people as we're going to get in the UK. So I want to get married in Scotland.
Oh well, that's great. No, actually, I'm almost tearful.
We saw this show. I was like, let's get married in Scotland. He goes,
as you do.
He said, do you mind getting married in a church? And I was like, that's fine. It's fine, whatever. I can get married and come back, and it'd be legit.
Oh well, yes. I'm stumped. I don't know what to say. I'm going to change the subject completely, absolutely completely. Now, one thing Cindy said right early on was that she was a bit nervous of being this classically trained musician and playing with this metalhead. How did you feel, Jason? The other way around. Here were you can't play an instrument apart from loudly with a classically trained musician.
No, you're being totally right. I am a aggressive music person, and she not only has a degree in classical piano, but she minored in Spanish classical guitar. So she can also outplay me on guitar. So it was getting over insecurities. It was learning how to speak to each other because she speaks totally in musical terms. I'm a stereotypical self-taught rock guitar player, so I don't know notes and chords. I don't know the names of them, rather. Mm-hmm. So us learning how to speak and getting over that, once we got over that, then everything else was fine. I mean, she's taught me a ton. We both compose the music that you hear. You'll never know which one does which, and that's a lot of fun.
Right.
Also, on the other hand, me being so classically, formally trained, Jason really helped me come out of my, my conventional little box. I was very, he says that he felt really insecure, but I really felt insecure because for me, I don't feel like I would be the kind of musician that I'm today without my formal education. And when I meet people, like Jason, who have this natural talent and ability to just pick up an instrument and say, I want to play, I'm going to play, and I'm just going to mess around until
Sounds good.
Yeah, that's so admirable to me, and not only to do it, but to do it well and to do it with such confidence was so mind blowing to me. And when we started and we decided that I was going to sing, I had taken some opera growing up. I sang in choirs and whatnot. But my very first um, singing experience in front of an audience, I was so nervous that I laughed. The entire time I had laughed because I was so nervous, and that traumatized me for so many years. That when I started this with Jason, he's like, "You're gonna sing, and don't be a karaoke singer." Karaoke singer. And if you know any Filipinos, that all Filipinos love karaoke, and I didn't know how to take that. Like, what do you mean? Don't be a karaoke singer? Like,
it's the only singing there is, surely.
So, yeah.
Well, that's certainly the music that I've heard. It does sound like those two quite disparate backgrounds and introductions to music have melded into something interesting. And I, as I said, I look forward to catching up with you when you're in Europe. So, thanks for that.
Oh, we're big fans of Portishead, who's from the UK as well.
Oh, okay, right. Well, it's early morning your end, and appreciate you getting up so early to have a morning cup of coffee. And that did look like a very nice cup of espresso that you had.
Awesome.
But I'd like to finish off with the question that's intended to be a useful question, which is, what else would you have liked me to ask you about the band, and what else would you like people to know about what you guys are up to?
I'd like people to know that this entire project, although we've had some little support, has been pretty much a DIY. It's been done on a do-it-yourself basis. It's something that we are very passionate about. It's music that we believe needs to be introduced to not even the music industry, but to people out there who are kind of trapped in radio music. There's more to that.
Our whole thing, when people hear some of the songs, when they hear the debut EP, especially, there's a song on there called Cavalier, the second song, and a lot of people, MTV's The Hive had featured it on their site for a while. And people figured, well, this is what this band is, and if we get them to go in another direction that's a little more, they say, electronica, techno-y, then we got a hit on our hands. And one big thing with us is that we want people to understand is that we're making the music, the art that we are passionate about. We like cinema art, we like art, like paintings. We enjoy free-form expression, and to be able to do what we do the way we want to do it is huge. So it does cost us a lot,
and we don't necessarily believe in begging for money online.
No Kickstarter.
Yeah, no Kickstarter.
We didn't do Kickstarter.
We don't have our hand out. We just work really hard to save.
If you like it, buy the music or a shirt or something that we make ourselves.
And every little penny that we make, it goes towards our touring. But there's traveling across the country. We've come across some very amazing people who have
housed us,
fed us.
It almost becomes a movement after a while, because people, they meet you and they see the show and they understand what we're trying to do, and they're like, well, we want to be a part of this. We want to help you guys. Anytime you need a place to stay or you need something to eat or a place to play, whatever it is, we got you. and that's kind of the seed we're trying to plant all over the world.
So
that must give you additional confidence.
Yeah.
If any of your readers or audience would like to be a part of this movement, we Jason would gladly cook for you.
No, it actually does a lot.
Well, I expect to see some recipes coming online quite soon. Then I might start a new section on the website. Recipes by Jason.
No, but it does give us a lot of confidence because when I see. I was very intrigued about the punk scene in a few different places. The punk scene or the hardcore scene in the 80s in Los Angeles, and the punk scene in the late 70s in the UK. Because
placed by my own heart, that is.
they
Let's keep the interview going for a few hours, then when we talk about old punk bands. No, let's not send everyone to sleep.
If you look at the bands. The real big bands that came out of there, and unfortunately, I don't want to say unfortunately, but it seems like that scene at this point for a lot of people is the Sex Pistols and everyone that looks like them. But for me, the band that got me the most that came out of that time was The Clash. Because they were so different, and you couldn't really just nail them down in a box, and so many different genres coming out on that record. That weren't just 1, 2, 3, go. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And then the just sheer aggression of the '80s hardcore scene with the Germs and Black Flag and X and all those bands that came out of SoCal. And then a little further up north where we are in the Bay Area, the Dead Kennedys, I think were probably the aggression and the genius, because I think they were just so intelligent and had such cool stuff to say.
I might go and play a couple of their tracks once we finish this interview, because I agree, absolutely fantastic band.
Yeah, I got a chance to meet Jello Biafra when I'm working in San Francisco, and it was a fanboy moment because we sat there and actually talked about sports, which I think is kind of odd, but. Those things, watching those scenes from not being part of them, but watching them through the documentaries is so interesting to see the way they changed the landscape of music on a real grassroots level. You're talking about people who weren't getting radio airplay, people that didn't get on MTV, especially for the hardcore stuff that was coming out of the 80s, and they weren't going to. And that's the way we feel with this. I mean, the internet's big, but the internet's also flooded. Yeah.
The trouble with the big internet is that it's just that, it's big, isn't it? Yeah. It's a bit like being a drop of water in the ocean. It's like, it's big.
I have to say one more last really important thing that I just want to let people know that, hey, if you happen to catch a live show, and for whatever reason you're intimidated by coming up to say hello to us after, please don't be, because us on stage is it's very different.
People won't talk to Cindy.
Yeah, no one ever talks to me. I don't understand.
Men sometimes talk to Cindy, but
and so we really actually try to talk to people before the show to let them know, hey, we're actually really nice people, so don't let me glaring at you on stage think, hey, I really freaking hate you.
Yeah, don't let the next 40 minutes put you off.
Yeah.
Well, that's quite a good place to finish it with. Yeah. So thanks once again for your time, and I look forward to seeing you when you're over here. I also look forward to catching up with more of your music, and I understand there's an LP that's coming out anytime soon. So let's finish off with one of your tracks, which is called "She's Got to Be a Pirate."
Yes.
Flying hard to find your goal. Think they'll keep you far from cold. They lay deep, far from your reach, so deep, not yours to keep.